company in Nigeria, Shell, today occupies as much as half of the entire Niger Delta. Shell today has 39 producing oil wells linked by a network of 4,786 kilometers of field pipelines and 154 kilometers of trunk lines to 87 flow stations, all in the Niger Delta. Most far-reaching of the different dimensions of the impact of oil exploration and exploitation are the effects on the environment, and there are quite a number of scholars that have written on this. Not just scholars, civil society organizations have also worked extensively, including ERA, including CDHR, and our own civil liberties organization. We won't say it has gone under. The peoples of the region are clearly overwhelmed by this situation, as demonstrated in some of their consensual pronouncements, such as observed declarations, Bill of Rights, and the likes. We are all too familiar with such documents as the Ogoni Bill of Rights and the Kayama Declaration of the Ijaw people. Next slide. This bill, among other things, states that the multinational companies have devastated the environment and ecology, and having flared gas in Ogoni land for more than 30 years and caused oil spillages, blowouts, and so forth. They have also dehumanized the locals, denying them employment and those benefits which industrial organizations in Europe and America routinely contribute to their communities. Like I said, the Ijaws have not signed a different tune, almost echoing the Ogoni. Next slide. Oil exploration, according to some authors, in 4 phases, namely site investigation and preparation, construction and decommissioning of projects, operations and maintenance, while the 4th and final phase is for future and other activities that will be carried out at the project site from time to time. Tragedy of all of these phases, however, for the locals who are supposed to be beneficiaries of beneficial ownership, is that they have been subjected to multiplying horrors ever since oil was discovered. Next slide. The most recently published situational report of ActionAid Nigeria on the oil-producing Niger Delta, titled "Ablaze for Oil," says that the cost of living index in the urban parts of river states and adjoining areas are probably the most prohibitive in this country. That only adds up to the fact that waterborne diseases ranging from measles, malaria, pneumonia, tetanus, and dysentery to tuberculosis account for no less than 80% of prevalence in the region. This sharply contrasts with the situation in even countries without oil, Cuba being a spectacular example. Today, malaria has been banished out of Cuba, yet Cuba doesn't have oil. Next slide, sir. Some other scholars have written on the pathetic situation in the Niger Delta, including a number of our own, Okonta and Douglas. And individually, Okonta went further in his published PhD thesis titled "When Citizens Revolt" to say that the struggle of the Ogoni people is one of the people in order to secure their civic rights as citizens in a state increasingly resorting to rapine despots, making them look like tribesmen in their struggle to become citizens. Next slide. Next slide. So, how have the conventional media interfaced with the challenging situations in the Niger Delta? But not the environmental challenges are global challenges. Through the ages, the most recurrent professional challenge in the media to the editor and the reporter alike is the need to always scan the environment for news. But how much of this, how much faithfulness have the media to this recurrent pronouncement by the editors? From Europe all through Asia to Africa, the media have rather come in belatedly to pay or accord sufficient attention to issues relating to the environment. Next slide. However, the most known voice and scholar with regards to this reporting, McDougall, declares that for the rest of this century, the most significant journalistic assignment probably increasingly will be what already is known as survival story. These are only stories that have to do with the environment. Next slide. McDougall is not alone. His claim has been reinforced by Kiben, 1991, and yet has been reinforced by some other scholars. Next slide. Next slide. So, if the media, believably, have not done so much to interface with environmental challenges, what are those things that we on our part as society have done to be supportive of the media to get their tasks done? Beyond being a sheer armchair observer, environmental rights action has been making efforts to organize a series of training and retraining. And indeed, so a number of these sessions have been compiled and published into some volumes. One of them, Reporting the Environment, happens to be a primary yet didactic effort. The subjects focused by the publication are wide-ranging and offer suitable reference. But that publication has a huge gap. Next slide, please. So if the media are not getting it right, perhaps some of these problems are also attributable to us. And I noted. I had noted elsewhere, perhaps not here, that publication by error is a lot to be desired because the quality control is a huge gap with regards to quality. In some other studies that I had undertaken, I've had cause to consult with locals, people resident in resource-bearing communities. Go back a little. The next slide. And some of them had argued that the media had not been doing badly. That in fact, some of them have been very good. But this researcher, as the moderator of a focus group discussion that I had with them, one of them suggested that the media should pay more attention to undertaking investigation and in-depth interviews. Next slide, please. Now, my recommendations. In the light of all of the observations, we want to submit that it's imperative to empower the rural grassroots to enable them cope with the challenge of generating media compliant information. They equally need such knowledge that will enable them to position themselves appropriately in this age of the real media of the people, otherwise called social media. Next slide. I also choose to reckon with the social media like Facebook and Twitter as the real media of the people because they have come to liberalize the relationship between the conventional media and others concerned with people's affairs and the ordinary people, as the relationship often manifests reciprocity. This is because it's not unusual for a news organization and even some other big corporate entities to be followers of certain otherwise individuals of lesser importance. The only reason for this is that there is some strand of relationship in the party feels it is best to be among those to be notified of any development about the other. These social media are recent additions to community media, especially community broadcasters, recently legalized in Nigeria. Our argument here is that it's important for ERA to work more closely with resource-bearing communities, particularly with a view to seeing how these communities can take advantage of community broadcasting to achieve their emancipation. Finally, is the need to get the host communities, perhaps with the aid of ERA as well, to familiarize with the ultimate information enablement for the grassroots. This enablement is what's called People's Communication Charter, available at www.pcc.org. Thanks for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we should all stand up and give a round of applause because we need the exercise. And we need to think that hopefully the last one of our development minutes. So, one of the most significant points that I think that Nigeria has made in an implicit manner, but I hope I'm making in an explicit manner now, is that we need a supportive environment. It's not something that comes up spontaneously. It needs to be consciously put together. Part of that is also enabling communities to take advantage of the potential, the huge potential that the social media presents. And I think now the implicit thing there that I'm going to make it, when you mentioned social media, you know, myself and Prof, we were whispering to one another. You know, we have a generation right now that is weighing on social media that are informed, that have I would say that are acquainted with virtually every topic in the world, but are not informed about any. You know, they are acquainted with every subject in the world that you mentioned. You probably have heard about it. It has scrolled through their feeds. They tweeted about it, but they have absolutely no information about it. They are not informed about it. And many of them go around believing that they are actually educated about the subjects. I just got something shared through my WhatsApp group right now that I'm reading. This is like about the 20th time in the last 4 years that I've made responses to people that I was angry because I thought they should know better. Obamacare, cheap, which means child health insurance plan, which is a part of the health insurance program of the US prior to Obama. What Obamacare did is to extend the coverage. It used to be children under 16, up to 16 years old, are covered by their parents' insurance. Under Obamacare, the age limit was put to 24. So it was even not a new thing. But I've seen so many nonsense that otherwise educated people pass around. 666 is here. The beast is here. Obama is trying that they are saying that they will implant a chip on your skin for you to get because chip, CHIP, is the acronym for a child health insurance plan. They implanted a new system. So I said, number one is marks of ignorance. Two, your inability to even try to educate yourself. Obamacare, go to Obamacare, you will even see the act. Then thirdly, it's also smart of racism. The child health insurance plan has been there before Obamacare. Why is it that it takes a black president for it to become the instrument of the devil? For it to become the instrument of the devil. So, anyway, that's the implicit point that I think he was making about the social media. If we do not enter into the social media activity, people are going to be getting applicated content that leads them nowhere. I will call on Maurice. The next two presentations are case studies. My understanding of case studies is that they are cases and they are studies. So they should not be too long. So a case, maybe 5 minutes. The study, another 5 minutes. So it shouldn't be too long. So thank you very much, Maurice.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. In spite of time, in Cross River Forest Watch, we have a tradition. No matter how limited the time we are given, we like to chant and then we like people to respond. And we used to say, C. Are you listening? C for community, F for forest, W for watch. So we say CFW, then we will chant and you say our forest, our heritage. Then we say CFW, then you say our land, our pride. Please. CFW, our forest, our heritage. CFW, our forest, our heritage, our forest, our pride. You know, forget about this costume I'm wearing. I am a village boy. And when I say a village boy, I mean a village boy to the core. I know how to do so many things. I get involved with village people. I talk with them. I fry garri with them. I do a lot of things. So as to be able to drive home the message. And today, I don't intend to take so much of our time. We are asked to talk briefly and simply paraphrase what is there. That case study to oil palm expansion, its impact on communities, the Cross River State experience. I wish to remind us that this year marks 25th or 25th anniversary of Wilma International, because they came into reception in 1991. But for Cross River State, this year marks its 5th anniversary. Its 5th anniversary for Cross River State. I want us to understand that this discourse will be centered on communities in Cross River State. Some 5 years ago, Wilma found his way to Cross River State with very fantastic and lofty promises. Promises of creating jobs for over 5,000 Cross Riverians, awarding scholarships, building schools, hospitals, supplying electricity, water, and making Cross River State a heaven. It took advantage of the dilemma the state was facing at that time. A time when the allocation dropped drastically as a result of loss of oil wealth occasioned by the sinking of Bakassi to the Cameroon. The government of the day, via Privatization Council, readily saw Wilmar as a messiah. However, the processes involved in engaging Wilmar International was faulty. It was faulty in the sense that it was not all inclusive of all stakeholders. The stakeholders were not involved, community people, villagers were not involved in the writing the agreement, in drafting the MOU. They were not involved, they were not consulted. Everything was done without following a bottom-top approach, but rather it was like an imposition on the people. No proper EIA was carried out, as at the time Wilmar had already commenced work. It was much later that civil societies like ERA and among others decided, when they were talking about it, that they now decided to do something to stage an EIA. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, 5 years have passed. Wilmar has since commenced production and export of their product, yet the promises made are yet to be fulfilled. Community people are suffering and living in abject poverty. The stream, the only source of water supply, is polluted by chemicals and other activities of Wilmar. A case study is the Bethel community. I wish to seize the opportunity to state that we have several communities that are affected by the Wilmar activities. Wilmar activities cut across 3 different local governments: the Akanfa local government, the Biase local government, and the Lupine local government. In Biase local government, we have 5 basic communities that are affected: the Idoma community, the Eon village, the Apet, the Bethel, and the Igbopia. The Igbopia presently is being called Ehom Central. So in case we get to Cross River and you mention Igbopia, they say no, it's now Ehom Central, it's the same village. And I want us to understand, in Akanfa, we have the Barakam community, we have the Akanfa Urban, we have the Uwet, we have the Daracham. Also in Akanfa, we also have the Paposi, we have the Niger, we have the community known as Niani, and then Pakos, Aliba, and then there are other places they call camps, we call them camps. I want us to understand that Wilmar has divided its activities or its company in Cross River State into 3. We have the Idiaye Farm Estate, we have the Karo Estate, and we also have the Eyo Industrial Limited. All the 3 estates belongs to Wilmar, irrespective of the name. It is sad to know that I want to discuss on the management structure. It is sad to know that all the promises Wilmar made, they are not kept in. We don't have community people in the management structure of Wilmar where major decisions are being made. In fact, as a matter of fact, over 80% of the workforce in Wilmar are not community people. They are not from host communities. I can rightly point out here that the GM, that was a white man, the assistant GM is also a white man, the procurement officer is from another local government area in Cross River State. The corporate responsibility officer is from Akwa, another local government in Cross River State. The human resource person is from Abi, a different local government in Cross River State, where Wilmar is not located. So you can have a fair idea of what I'm talking about. The people are not being carried out about. Now let's look at another aspect that is very important: the modus operandi of Wilmar. They use a divide and rule tactics and approach, where the chiefs, are not, the chief or the council, they are not allowed to unite the youth leaders. They tend to cause confusion, so that the people are not united and they cannot speak in one voice to combat the problems and the issues confronting them. I want us to understand that the expansion program of Wilmar aims at acquiring over 50,000 hectares As I speak with you, they have already acquired. They already have over 30,000 hectares. As I speak with you, they are encroaching into more communities. When right now they have acquired another 3,000 hectares. As I speak with you, there is a survey going on in another community, known as the Old Native community. And the intention is also to acquire quite a large number of hectares. They are aiming at 50,000 with the promise that they are going to build a refinery. Recall that they are promised to give Cross-Riverians over 5,000 jobs in less than 3 years. And today, they are present at for 5 years, and we've not really had any gainful employment in Wilmar. I want to also digress a little and talk about other emerging trends and other new developments, which has resulted to oil farm expansion. We have the activities of commercial agri in collaboration with World Bank, which they are empowering and giving a grant of 2.5 million naira to a farmer. And this farmer is they've already recruited 600 persons, and they are within 600, of which over 25% are into oil palm cultivation. And you can imagine what impact it will have on the environment. As I speak with you right now, the Cross River State is a lot of communal conflict. What is causing this conflict? The problem of there is no enough farmland. The system of cultivation is such that, when you farm in a particular farm, they used to live there and then go to farm in another portion, because of the fertility of the soil. But right now, because of the pressure of oil plant expansion, the people do not have enough land, so it has resulted in a lot of conflict. That's why now we talk about the year of communal conflict, a lot of war, the tribal war, everything boils down to the problem of availability of land for farming. Also, right now, we have a situation where Wilmar is now collaborating with CBN. CBN is collaborating with Wilmar as I speak with you. The meeting took place that particular day we were in Port Harcourt. That was the day the meeting took place in Calabar, in Wilmar Farm. That was not in person. But they are collaborating to sponsor people, small-scale farmers, who will be trained by Wilmar, who Wilmar will now give seedlings and all that to cultivate. And Wilmar will now be the last final bus stop where they will bring their product and sell. And definitely, Wilmar is an agro-business and definitely will not buy at the price that they should buy. I want to state here that Wilmar is going for more than 50,000 hectares in Cross River to be able to establish a refinery. If we don't rise up to the occasion, the pollution will continue, the privatization, the degradation, the servitude, the oppression, the deceit, the exploitation, and the loss of our land and its vegetation, and general instability in the ecosystem will continue. There is need thus to intensify advocacy and train community people, particularly on strategies to combat this menace. Again, there is need to train community people on environmental impact assessment and enlighten communities who are at the verge of giving up their land for oil palm cultivation. The time to address this situation is now, and I want to appeal that our approach must be all-inclusive.
I'm just awarded to a professorship. Yes, University of your Breast. Thank you very much. Okay, yes, just before we go on, I think that if you listen to this story, it is the story of Niger Delta. Also, if you listen to that story and you take it back to the part of the story that Tunde also mentioned, about the extraction, about Shell and the corporation, and then if we link that back to the questioning, one point that I think is important for us to note, which you mentioned, and this for me goes to the change, to both the change and the mantra. As this is it. We have an economic diversification, intention, desire that is focused on agriculture, okay? But also focused on other aspects of the extractive industry, that's solid minerals. In agriculture, it is also focused on extractive agriculture. And what do I mean by that? Plantations for export of raw materials because they can earn foreign from the, and you can see that. Remember, you can see that with the palm seedlings, and we export the raw material. So, in fact, all of this means that it is not enough to simply want to diversify the economy. We should ask ourselves, what is the model for diversifying the economy? And I think that all the activities and the activities that Maurice mentioned is a good point to listen to land grabbing case study. So let's listen to Miriam as she discusses how she and her colleagues have been grabbing land.
Thank you so much for that wonderful and precise presentation. I think to speak to the premise in which I'm going to be speaking on, it's the same thing, it's the same tactics, whether they are based in Europe, in the US, in Asia, whatever, it's the same thing they are doing. So, well, I'll try. I don't know how fast I can be, but I'll try to run this down. If you look at this picture up here, this is exactly what is happening in Nigeria, in Africa, everywhere. A lot of people that are coming, they are grabbing our lands from different angles, from all nooks and crannies. They are coming with different tactics, different things. So I just put up this picture for us to have an idea of what is happening in Nigeria. See the fork, you see the knife. Traditionally, Africans, you don't eat with fork and knife, so you know who is doing this. So, the general argument is, why do they want to grab land in Nigeria or in Africa? They say we have wasteland, we have large tracts of land waiting for somebody to put into use. Our lands are useless. But what we forget, like Maurice said, is when our people farm, they farm in this particular place for a particular year, and they need to quite fallow, and they come back again after some years. So there is no quote and unquote marginal or wasteland waiting for some northern people or Europeans to come and put their beans to use. So that's just a fallacy. Okay. The bottom line, are they really interested in us? This picture up here says they are interested in Africa without Africans. They need our land, they don't need the people. They need our resources, they don't need us. They don't really need, all they want is what they can get from the land, from the soil, from everything but not us. So, what is all this about? We've heard Pastor Peter has said it, Maurice has said it, all the doctors have said it. In recent times, you are witnessing a lot of push by multinational companies, these companies, chemical companies, and all this is just for our resources. Nothing more. It's just like they're just interested in what they can get from us, the resources for production, for food, for other parts of the world. That most of the time they come in here, take our resources, take them out, and then bring them back to us as finished products at a cost. And they buy these things just for peanuts from here. So, you can see that this is resource corruption. That picture, they're trying to break us and milk us out and get everything they can get from us without. I want to be fast because I want to talk on a case called the Dominion Farm case because I don't have much time. In 2012, we got rid of a company called Dominion Farms. Dominion Farms is a company based in the US. It's registered in Africa, in Kenya, and this company, they were given some concessions to come into Nigeria to do business. I'll quickly run through that. The project is tied to the GHD Alliance of Food Security and Nutrition Framework. where our government has, when we hear of those big terms, when we hear the government, the project is one of the 6 stable crop processing zones that the federal government has planned in different states. Details of the plan for the SPC zones can be seen in the J. Our Health work. It's important to note that this SPC will be used as a starting point for the rollout of national and reform programs, quote unquote, called systematic land tilling and registration. Use all these big names to grab lands. So far, the World Bank has committed $200 million into this project. Watch anything the World Bank puts money into. Just watch it. This company came into a community in Taraba State called Gazo. There, they took over, I'm going to go straight. They were given 30 hectares of land by the federal government, and they were supposed to produce rice. And I can tell you that rice is not for community consumption, it's for exports. And the land they took, it was near the river basin where the communities go to. I mean, whether it's the community and neighboring communities, they go to water their cattle, plant their farms, take water for domestic use. That's where they took over this land. And mind you, whenever they come to a community, they take the best land. They don't just take waste land. They take the best lands, they take the best resources, they go for the best things. They just come in and say, okay, let us go to the desert. No. They have to get the best of because they are businessmen and they need to get their returns. So they went to Gazo community in Taraba State and took these large tracts of land, and then from our field studies, we find out that 45,000 people were affected. These are pastoralists, these are farmers, all kinds of people. And of course, there were forced evictions and all that. Look at this picture. It explains all. They're going to be engendering hunger and multiple crises. Land is taken away from farmers. We take land from food production to produce what they want to export. So in case I went to India, they took land from people to grow flowers. So you can imagine, where people eat flowers. Here in Nigeria, they will say they want to grow rice, but we really actually know exactly what kind of rice they wanted to grow, which would be very much that. Choice lines are taken, and of course, they are near irrigational sources of water supply and all those kind of things. And people, once they take over this land, the community people can never be allowed to go to near those lands. Like in Gazo community, they drove them out of those lands. They were not allowed to go to the irrigation streams. They even covered the ponds where the people fetch water. And the people were driven away. These are farmers. This is all they know, all they know about. They couldn't farm. These are people who are not lecturers. They are not people like all. They don't work in offices. They only farm, and then they can no longer go to their farms. They no longer do business. That is their business. That is their business center. They're practically driven away from that. So you can imagine what that means. If you drive people away from their sources of livelihood, and they have to go to somewhere. Worries talked about it are going to engineer conflicts and hunger and all kinds of crises. That's it. What is happening? Drivers of the future, crisis, conflicts, and reforms. So this is what we did. When we found out that this was happening, we undertook a field finding trip to the community to really find out what is going on. Our main goal was to hear from the farmers of Gazo about what they think of the Dominion Farm Project. Do they really think it's what it is? So we don't want to come and say environmental rights action where they want coming to put words into their mouth. We wanted the farmers, the people of the community, to really say what they think of this project. Because that is how we come in. We work with the grassroots. We don't just come in and impose our ideas on people. We work with these people and we want to hear from them. So we didn't want just to go and start making error has come again that they want pushing this thing. No. Let the community say what they want and then we can help them from there. This is what we found out. No consultation to the community. It's the same thing. Remember, this is what Maurice said. This is possible. I said, this is Taraba in the north. There were no consultations with the community. Divide and rule. They come in there, meet some VIP people or some chiefs, give them some same tactics over and over again. They promise them roads, failed promises. They promise them that they're going to give them schools, that they'll take their children to school, they're going to build them hospitals. But for crying out loud, these are projects the federal government should do for a community. Why should a company come and provide roads or send your children to school? Then all these are just failed promises or bogus promises for them to have a railroad into the communities. And eventually, they are forced evictions and corporate capture of our public irrigation systems. These are all that happens. Like the same thing over and over and over again. Whether it's Nigeria, whether it's in Kenya, whether it's Uganda, all these things come and play out eventually. So what do? We said, should we agonize? We went there to these communities and said, should we agonize or organize? In every situation, do you want to have a pity party? Do you want to cry? Or do you want to do something about it? So we choose to do something about it. We organized with the communities and went into collaboration with some of our allies, Seed, Grain, and Global Justice, because we needed people in the US to know what the company based in the US is doing in Nigeria. So we went to collaboration. We did field visits, we did some research, we had meetings, we spoke with the community people, we spoke with some of the government people. Of course, most of the government people will tell you they are not around, they made themselves scarce, so you can't really meet them. We did our campaigns, we did our media outreach, and we went there several times. Of course, like we always say, mobilization, resistance, it's all advocacy. And finally, we could say that our campaign paid off. Dominion Farms packed his bag and left the community. I just want to read what they said. Why they said, it said, suffice to say that our campaign yielded fruits when Dominion published a letter on the 5th of February 2015 in his website, you can check it out, stating amongst other things that it was, quoting them directly, not doing business in Nigeria, environmental rights action, Friends of the Earth Nigeria, and Center of Environmental Education, the NGO we're also working with, all boast of your decision to support the communities affected by Dominion. It is now your obligation to do so. The people of Nigeria need massive support and huge investments. These precious people look desperately for every need of life. What will you do for them when their children are hungry, the hunger agreement, and there is nobody to turn to? Please take up the challenges and invest the billions of naira necessary to change the lives of these people. Dominion will no longer be in your way. And we said, Amen. Good radiance. So, in conclusion, after 3 minutes, said, development is not an export product. Each people must freely determine, their development paths. You can't sit somewhere and tell me what I want. I should be able to tell you what I want. So community resources, the critical issues that we want to think about is who owns our land? Who has the primary right to sell lands? How secure are community rights? These are things we need to talk about. And then, of course, I will end this by saying most of these things, they come in agro-commodities, you have GMOs, there are all kinds of things that will not ultimately benefit Nigerians and our people. So these are all the questions we need to ask ourselves. And then, can Nigeria gain or regain? Can we regain our territory, our resources, our economy, our land rights, our resource control of things? These are issues we need to think about. For me, I say, moving forward, mere talks will not save our nation and continent. More dollars will not rebuild our continent. It's time to act, mobilize, resist, and transform. As of today, Dominion farms have packed their bag and left. The people have gone back to their farm thanks to ERA and our advocacy work and our support to them, but they need more support from the government. Most of the phones have been filled with sand. Most of the land have been degraded already. So how do we, because we don't have all the resources, ERA does most of actively mobilizing, we don't have money to keep the peace, so we start up your life again. What can we do? It's a collective decision that ERA alone cannot do. And all hands has to be on the deck. And finally, I want to end with this. We the people, not corporations. We the people, not corporations, are our best hope for restoring sanity to our food, farming, land system. And I rest my case here. Thank you so much.
You can understand why case studies can be very energizing. Don't mind me, unlike what I said earlier, that they are cases and studies, right? They are actually studies of lived experiences. That, it puts a context to what Professor Kubara was saying earlier about the BAI. Puts a context to Professor Allen querying the mantra of sustainable development. Puts the context to, the necessity for a supportive environment for our communities. So, thank you. Well, now we're going to take the questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you will end. Okay, and your question states this. In 1 minute. Make it ask your question directly. If you are going to also give what's the called, if it's an intervention, make it short and straight to the point. When it is fine.
Hello. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am Dr. Raphael Ophir from the University of Calabar. Mine is more of a comment. First of all, let me comment on Professor Allen's paper. You see, the concept of sustainable development is a very flexible one, and it actually opens up and gives us the opportunity to do what is right. Because if you look at the Broadland report and the next 1992, it's so obvious and very, very straight. I think where we are actually getting it all wrong is that we ourselves are actually applying it wrongly. Then on my Fox paper, my mother here seated, Professor Fubara, I want to thank you and say you've done so well because I happen to come from Cross River State and my community is directly affected by the Superhighway project. The EIA in the first place was not conceived. I want to tell this honorable house that project was not focused on solving the problem of transportation. The access in Cross River State is a problem between the south and the northern part. What there would have been anything wrong in Dr. Yade trying to maybe give us another alternative route to in alignment with the existing. Would have made more sense. But the main essence was all about the issues of land grabbing and exploitation. Basically because of what? The presence of Ebony and Lofira Alata, what you call the ironwood. This has been taken up, and that's why the community people stood up to fight it. So if you get there and see what has been done already, you cry. But thanks to ERA, thanks to Friends of the Earth, who have come to our aid to help us stop that project. That project is actually does not have a focus. Then the EIA was a faulty one, and please let ERA not, relax on their hearts as it has to do with this project. And then lastly, on the issue of land grabbing, I want to commend the presenters because Olori have actually stopped it right, and Annie here. Let me tell us the truth. Poverty is what these multinationals are capitalizing on. And they are using us. That's why the question that will now arise is, who is aiding and abetting this land grab? It is we, because of the divide and rule. I call it technology. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Yahya Ahmed from Yes, Kaduna. I really want to thank Professor also for her very remarkable on EIA, because that's the basics of all that as far as environmental issue is concerned. But my short remark is that we all have to agree that as Dr. Ojo said when he was there, he said, are we at a status quo as far as environment is concerned, or we are even going down? I would say we are going down as far as environment is concerned in Nigeria, and as far as the Ministry of Environment is there, I tell you, we are even going down. We are not moving anywhere. Professor talked about registry. We don't have this EIA registry as it is in the Ministry of Environment. We don't have statistics, we don't have adequate statistics. If you need something, you go to the Ministry of Environment, they will turn around and bring you a paper of 1985 when we are in 2015 and 2016. And this is really something I think on a solo. What I want to say is that Professor Adam also said political leadership in the area that is coming for them. That is true. They really do the, and the question is, they are not even really interested, not even the area that is interested as far as Nigeria is concerned. I just want to give just one example for a short edit. Look at this whole issue of change from 21 and this is. When did you submit our IND?
And if it is not on ground in Nigeria, except it's just a name mentioning policies, just a name mentioning policies, what are we as a family called? We are the one called change mentor. We are. Yes, we are. We are, because we are the mobilizers of the communities. So we should be the one now to put a positive template called change mantra. And how do we go from here to make it a reality? If land grabbing is an issue that's supposed to be curtailed by a position called EIA, policy, and it is not there to help the communities, that means we doesn't have a template to work with. Now, if at the end of the exercise here, we, as the total change matter that we are, as mobilizer, social mobilizer, community mobilizer, and environment mobilizer, at the end of the exercise, we go home and say we've thought about EIA, that means we have nothing to present to our people. In a few days' time from today, we're going to present EIA report to the people of Warika in Ogele South. What are we going to present to our people? We doesn't have a structure or a template that will be able to sustain the community for what EIA is all about. It is for us to go there and tell them EIA is just a kind of a formulated paper, working paper for the bourgeois and the land grabbers. That's all I will have to go and say. For now, until ERA is able to present a renewable EIA, there's no EIA. So there is no EIA that we can present to the community for now until check matter is being done by us and all of us, the professors that are here today. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chair. I've been listening this morning, and I just wanted to ask really, what is the change matter? Is it a town in Nigeria or is it the town in Africa? The next thing I wanted to ask the professor about the EIA and the river state, where you are saying that actually the project is taking too much time compared to what is required. In Nigeria, where you can of course search that you want little land, but the government is taking too much from the company. I don't know whether that was possible. Then I want to ask Madam Sister here about the land grabbing in Nigeria. I think in Uganda it is already the government that has compulsory powers to acquire any parcel in the land. That companies do not have compulsory powers to acquire land. The law here allowing corporations compulsory acquire, or is the government that acquires and benefits this corporation?
Okay, thank you very much. Mine is not a question, but just to add some step to what Prof says, because her discussion on the EIA, is what we have been teaching about the EIA, and I think the biggest challenge and problem of the environmental impact assessment Act decree, because it has not made itself from being a decree, even though the only thing that makes it an act is by the reception provisions of the Constitution. It's still the same way it worked out under President Babangida. It's still the same way. I think the of that act itself is very symbolic to, the deficiency in it. And these have been the laws of Nigerian laws. Most of the Nigerian laws that are related to transparency and natural resource issues, where it becomes an issue of when campaigners, Nigerians agitate so heavily, even to what is globally trending, they are deeply limited. And that is why there is no amendment that we made to the EIA Act if there is no enforcement clause provided that will make it anything other than a history book. Because a situation where we have all the beautiful but when they are planted, nobody is to enforce it, is equally the culprit that is expected to enforce it. Because the Ministry of Environment is the biggest culprit in the non-enforcement of the EIA Act. Because they have a defined role under the Act to play, then they shy away from it. They have not tried one day to be that, they failed. So how can I have confidence as a community person when the provisions of the EIA, like for instance, the issue of consent, the issue of display, the issue of discussion, when they are not followed, how can I run to the minister who will not even listen to me? Okay, so I think basically, if we are serious, ever had commenced this process long time ago for the review of the EIA Act, can we all come out of this meeting with a resolution that everybody that is in this house will sign on to, the recommended amendment? Good again, Mr. Nuruddin is here. The review was done himself. Wuzi, was part of it, and the rest. So let's resolve that everybody signed in here that those reviews will be refined and forwarded to the National Assembly.
Thank you. Please note that down for tomorrow when we are discussing and the issues that we can take forward. Just before Comrade speaks and we'll come back here, my friend that was coming from Canada, change mantra. There's no better person to speak about change mantra than the person who is going to speak now. It's a mantra campaigner. But in Nigeria, the change mantra is our reference to the what was the campaign slogan of the then opposition party, which is now the ruling party. They promised to change. Okay, so Nigerians refer to change mantra as that promise, that slogan, because the slogan was not defined for everybody. So it had different meanings for different people. So that's what Nigerians refer to as the change mantra. So it's a peculiarly Nigerian animal and beast. So that's that. Conclusion.
Within the context of our discussion, I think it's important that we begin to think through what we can do with the Land Use Act. Unfortunately for us now, you can't even amend it, except you have to follow the process for constitutional amendment. Having been made part of the Constitution. So I think Professor Fubra and my brother over there, all the lawyers and all the activists have begun to find a way for us to get out of this lockdown. Besides that, there is little or nothing you can do because nobody that knows that. How may we go around the process to change the Land Use Act? That is the biggest problem that everyone comes to. With regard to
clear that every land, every state belongs to the governor of the state. So it's not even your own, even though you are residing there. And the man can take away any right to have customary or traditional by virtue of using his power to give a certificate of occupancy. He can relocate you and put another person there. So I think it's high time we begin to look in that direction. And also begin to look at even the oil minerals act. Because a lot of what is contained there, the way it is being viewed, is very false. And if we can find a way out of this lockdown, we will really be helping one another. So I still as if I have a solution I don't have, it's not an easy one. Because we need to draw support of the state houses of assembly to put an eye or to dot an eye across the constitution of Nigeria. So how are you going to amend such a fundamental issue? But I believe that all of us, Anthony inclusive, can begin to wear our thinking cap over time and see what we can take out. Because land has become such a major issue. In fact, in a state like Lagos, if you look at what is going on with land, or even Ogun now, it has moved into that submission place. Gradually, it will increase in many more states. And the communities are going to do more about their land rights. And even when you talk about the forest that are being improved upon, the only legal saving grace is just the EIA Act. Minus the EIA, the Cross River Governor could have just gone ahead and traversed your place. In terms of the ownership of the land on which he's building the road, not the market. It's such a bad situation.
Okay. Thank you very much.
See, and I think that we should all really take to community's advice. The color of the zone cap is red. Each one of us can also adopt our own colors and then put our thinking cap. Now, okay, I will take just please bring me your last comments on these issues, 1 minute each. You don't need to go to the podium, just sitting down here. At the podium, it's difficult for me to actually collect that. So let's start for your last response, your last comment, 1 minute.
Distinguished colleagues, my concluding statement is just that now, as a people with a common interest, there are no challenges, there are no barriers for us again to seize the public domain to achieve our wishes. Not again are the conventional media more powerful than the interactive, social, ubiquitous media. So we are as powerful as those who run the mega media. We can't afford to continue to wait. Now is our time, and we must seize it. Thank you.
Well, I want to say that the state is incapable of engendering sustainable development if sustainable development is protected environment. The state is incapable of it. So what is the answer? I say the state is incapable of it because economic growth is paramount for the state, not just the Nigerian state, but the state in Africa, the state in the developing world. Economic growth is stronger than any other consideration. So what happens? The bottom-up process, which means it's you, it's a community, it's a civil society that can engender sustainable development.
Yes, I just want to express my joy and great delight that this is an erudite audience. You all caught the import of the EIA, and I think we all take it from here and make sure that, at the end of the day, this station comes out with an EIA that formulated within the spirit and intent of its a democratic governance, not, like Chima mentioned, one that was formulated under the military era, and it still has the spirit and the DNA of the military dictatorship still, running around it. And I'd also like to advise Chima that there is still need for you to review your review EIA in the light of the emerging new trends, nationally and globally. Thank you.
Well, I had a question from my brother from Uganda. I think Honorable Richard already touched on it. It's of course acquired through the connivance of our government. No corporation or anybody will just come to Nigeria, take any land if they're not in cahoots with the government or the state government. So of course, the government gave them that land. That's why they can operate and do whatever they want. I mean, nobody comes to your house without seeking permission. They were given permission by the government. So when they come in, they operate with impunity because they know they have. Because even the land, when the land is taken, the state gives them what we call boko, like soldiers to guard that land to prevent communities from coming. So they have the protection of the state. And like it's been mentioned already, our land is vested. Let me say, if the government says they want to take this land because of overriding interest, there's nothing you can do. It could be for anything that land is vested in the government. So once they decide that they want to do it for development, development is not something that should settle in the head. Land belongs to the people. Government should not feel as if they can do it in isolation. So it's the same case. In fact, in Africa, it's the same case all over Africa. So thanks for this.
Please permit me to say I have taken note of all your comments here, and I will surely deliver my report to the Honorable Minister in order to take care of the gray areas as mentioned. And I want to suggest that after the end of the Congress, I wouldn't mind if ERA can book an appointment with the Honorable Minister of Environment so that all your observations and recommendations can be submitted to her. Her doors are open. She has opened up policy. She has been meeting with a lot of stakeholders in order to reorganize the ministry. We have identified the fact that we have series of policies, climate change policy aside, forestry policy aside, biosafety policy aside, but it's our vision now to harmonize all those policies into a common one so that we can have our national environmental policy in Nigeria. We are seriously working on that, and you are aware we just concluded the National Council of Environment, where a lot of issues concerning the state were taken care of. Of note, Barrister Obara is here. Last year they worked on harmonizing the Nigerian environmental policies, which was sponsored by UNDP. Equally, the National State of Environment Report, I read it. We now, identified some faults, and currently a committee is sitting to review the State of Environment report for Nigeria. So we are doing a lot. It's not as if we are sitting about. There could have been some lapses, but because of the change mantra that we are all embracing, we are coming on. And what I have said, that a society that knows its onions will surely know the next steps to take to put things right, and that is what the minister is doing. So I can vouch for her that when you come with all those requests, it will be tendered at the Federal Executive Council meeting, and all the gray areas will be taken care of. Thank you.
A Chinese proverb opines that the best time to have planted a tree would have been 5 years ago. Then the next best time to plant the tree is now. I think now is the right time to strengthen advocacy. We in Community Forest Watch Cross River State, we've adopted a new approach. We are now involved in public hearing. When as of assembly want to pass a bill on any matter, we engage, we call other CSOs, we get them involved and make sure they are there to make contributions. Because the moment this bill passes through the public hearing, the second reading, and the third reading, when it becomes a law, it's difficult to amend. So I want to appeal to every one of us. We're talking about change, and they say change begins with you, it begins with me. Let's put in our very best, and then all the dreams and visions we have will become reality.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I like the Chinese and Chinese robots. The Chinese have the luxury of a huge landmass. Okay? So the same Chinese will tell you that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. Okay? Now they say the best time like the is 5 years. They have that luxury. For a country of 1,000, that the entire circumference is 1,000 kilometers. The journey of 1,000 miles, the journey of 100 miles, we have to begin with the first step. Now, so what are the summaries? 1, error. This review of the EIA has become pressing, something that we need to carry on now. Something that we probably need to also do that is that it is also important for us to actually have a conversation and a study, like a baseline, on the level of compliance with the EIA, compliance, enforcement of the EIA and the rest of that. Secondly, natural resource governance. It's important for us to I asked this question, when we got 30% derivation, it required a resource control movement. Okay? There was actually a movement that pushed that. So what am I driving out of this? Implicit in that is that it is impossible to have natural resource governance without the natural resource movement, the natural resource governance movement. We are not going to have natural resource governance without a movement to push it. Again, that it is, and this is something that I've not had mentioned at all here. It's an area that I'm very interested in, that we're doing some work on. I hope that in the course of these next few days we are able to shed more light on it. There can be no natural resource governance, particularly because of community participation and community ownership without community governance. And that's a huge gap in Nigeria. There is absolutely no governance taking place in our community, in the formal sense of the word governance. So we have traditional institutions, for example, that we have called custodians of our culture and relegated them to the other room where they can take custody of our culture. And then I was just speaking with somebody today, there is a whole lot of, for example, jurisprudence. This is determined in traditional palaces and the rest of that nobody is aware of, and so they promise anything. But that it is only because of the integrity and credibility of community leaders that they are able to enforce. Because otherwise, there is no means of enforcing it. There is no government at the community level. So all you have is a government that is hanging and stops at the local government headquarters. No wonder there is that so much disconnect. No wonder they behave as if they hold nobody any responsibility and the rest of that, because they are not anchored on anything. And then just to now round up finally, there is a gap. There is a serious gap. And we are part of that gap. We need to do something to fill that gap. Otherwise, in 2016, with all on the one side, with all the militancy and everything and the destruction of the environment, the destruction of the economy on the one side, then on the other side, with the traction that the UNEP report of Ogoni is gaining, and therefore the fact that the Ogoni restoration and remediation is becoming a model, that in that same context, context, Niger Delta leaders will have the opportunity of meeting with the president, and they will be demanding for oil blocks and contracts. There is something really very wrong at this, and that is that our advocacy, our has receded. Because how can Niger Delta leaders have that opportunity with the president and they cannot raise the question that you never report should become a model for the regulation of the Niger Delta? And that what they are asking for is actually more oil blocks and contracts. And it is not as if these Niger Delta leaders have always been wise. Because even in the past, they were not interested in resource control. It took movements built by us to make them make the demands that we were making and adopt those demands. So the point I'm saying is that they will not adopt our demands for regulation, for restoration, if there is no movement, if they don't think that there is a capital power elsewhere that they have to answer to. On that note, I think that we should go and build a movement in the restaurant so that our stomachs will not collapse, because even stomach infrastructure collapses. Thank you very much. This lunch is for 40 minutes, so that we come back here and round up for today. Please, let's come back here. That is my final